Epstein may be dead, but someone else has now taken his place. The celebrities who were connected to Epstein are still involved in crimes. Joe Rogan recently said that Epstein's death did not change anything. According to him, the real masterminds are still out there and continue to run the same blackmail network that Epstein was once at the center of.
They compromised people.
And it's been going on forever.
Yeah, they've
Forever, dude.
It's got to be going on right now still.
100%, but
it's got to be happening somewhere where you can get away with it.
Epstein flew around and partied with, and the ones who often visited his private island and Zorro Ranch were never prosecuted or properly investigated. Many of their names were hidden, and the NDAs that Epstein forced his victims to sign are still being enforced today. These celebrities include some of the biggest actors in Hollywood, high-ranking government officials from the US, the UK, Saudi Arabia, and parts of Europe, and even CEOs of some of the largest companies in the world. Even after Epstein's death, these powerful people still protect each other. Because of this, the Department of Justice has not been able to release the full client list.
It seems so crazy to think there's not a list.
That's what Jimmy said. He's a tinfoil hat guy.
There's a lady in jail for trafficking.
And Jimmy would acknowledge
to no one. Like, there's no one who's been arrested that she sex trafficked to.
And that's what Aaron's saying.
Well, there's a list that's out. Who knows if it's fake? I don't know. It could be a fake list. Who knows? But Chris Tucker's on that list, and they asked Chris Tucker on a podcast, "What's up with you being on the list?" He didn't do what Jimmy Kimmel said. Jimmy Kimmel said it's a fake list. Who cares what that list says? It's fake.
Right.
Chris Tucker goes, "Yeah, I did go on that flight, but we went to Africa, and I went with a bunch of diplomats. I didn't know who this Epstein guy was." Like Chris Tucker says, like, I had no idea. We were on this plane. We were going to Africa, do some diplomatic, and turns out I didn't know.
Well, they definitely got people connected to him by using famous people.
Yes.
Because,
so, my point was, Chris Tucker basically confirmed that the list was like legit because he's on it.
Right.
Chris Tucker's name first came up in connection with Epstein many years ago. Photos showing Chris Tucker and former President Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane were leaked by one of the victims. Reports say that Chris Tucker traveled to Africa with Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, and Kevin Spacey by flying on Epstein's jet on September 2, 2002. Chris later denied the claims and said that he had never met Jeffrey Epstein.
You knew Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you?
Now, I did. We flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different, that was a humanitarian trip to Africa.
Yeah.
And I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch of dignitary people. We was with a delegation. And yeah, I met him and you don't know people, what they do in their private lives. So, yeah.
But tell me this, Chris. He was on this private plane. And you could tell that it was a private plane because they called it, was it Lolita Express?
Oh, yeah, it was a private plane. Yes. Oh, yes.
But wait a minute. You didn't never go to that island, did you?
No.
Chris Tucker was also connected to Sean Diddy Combs, and, according to some sources online, he also had a close link to Harvey Weinstein. It seems like the same story every time. Whenever one criminal is arrested, two more appear to take his place. Many people thought that arresting Jeffrey Epstein would end the ring he was running, but that did not happen. The network still continues, with someone else stepping in to take control.
It's so tangled. The whole thing is just, I think everybody who looks at it realizes this is a rabbit hole that just goes to the center of the earth. And there's so many people involved in that. Here's the big question that people ask. If there was a Jeffrey Epstein, and it seems like all these things he was involved in, is there a Jeffrey Epstein right now that we don't know about?
There's a million of them.
A million of them.
I mean, this is why I find this is not the core of what I focus on, but I find it a really interesting field of study because it helps understand so many other U.S. government institutions and the relationship between government and private business.
The biggest proof that Epstein's ring of abusers may still be active is that many victims are still staying silent. These victims are afraid because they know how powerful Epstein's friends were. Virginia Giuffre was one of the first victims who spoke out against Epstein, and she shared photos of herself with Prince Andrew years before any serious investigation began. She tried to expose the people involved, but after speaking out, she was quickly pushed into silence.
I still believed in his power. I still believed in his money and the people that he knew. So I was grateful just to get out alive.
Was there a time there where you thought you wouldn't get out alive?
Yeah, there were a few times. And there was a few times I didn't know if I was going to make it or not.
Is that by your own hand or by how you're being treated, or?
By how I was being treated to some of the people that I was tricked out to.
So what made you fear for your life? What was happening to you?
It was physical. It was very physical.
Virginia's testimony and the photos she shared are the reason Prince Andrew had to face serious questions. Because of the public pressure and attention, his royal title was taken away. And just a few weeks ago, Prince Andrew was reportedly arrested by UK police because of his connection to Epstein. Sadly, Virginia Giuffre died before she could see this happen. Before her death, Virginia had announced that she was writing a book about everyone she saw during her time on Epstein's island. But before she could release the book, she was hit by a truck. Although she survived the accident, she allegedly took her own life a few days later. Now, this is where things get interesting. Shortly before her death, Virginia had actually posted a message online saying she was being targeted. The message said, "I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help protect them. Too many evil people want to see me silenced."
Welcome back and Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Breaking news coming in, some sad news to share. We're learning this from the New York Post, several other outlets reporting this as well. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus. A statement given to NBC News was quoted as such from the 41-year-old's family. It says, "It's with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and trafficking." The New York Post says that Giuffre took legal action against billionaire financier Epstein in 2015, alleging that she was sex trafficked at age 16 after his ex-lover and convicted Madam Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from her job as a locker room attendant at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. The mom of 3, according to the Post, also alleged that she was forced to have sex with disgraced Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17, including at Epstein's Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and in Maxwell's London home, where a notorious photo of her with King Charles' eldest brother was taken. The Post says the allegations became the biggest scandal to rock the royal family in a generation. Again, hearing of the sad news just within the past hour, Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of late convicted Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. It was announced on Friday, her death. She was 41 years old, her family confirming this.
Several critics online claimed that Epstein was already dead by the time Virginia said she was being targeted. The obvious question is, who was Virginia really afraid of? According to Joe Rogan, high-ranking government officials and billionaires from all over the world are connected to Epstein, and they are the ones responsible for everything that happened.
The point I'm getting to here is, given Jeffrey Epstein's involvement in the BCCI network, given Jeffrey's involvement in the 1990s with all the foreign policy activities happening in the Middle East at that time, given Jeffrey Epstein's, involvement through, the early 2000s Clinton era and everything, given his involvement in everything from Israeli to Saudi to British to French high-level government officials, Jeffrey Epstein was investigated by the SEC in the 1980s. He was one of the 2 people who ran the biggest Ponzi scheme in history at the time in the United States, the Towers financial collapse. Epstein's business partner goes to jail for like 30 years or 20 years or whatever. But Epstein skates completely free. Epstein gets involved in this huge fraud in the U.S. Virgin Islands with this, like $1 billion fraud case in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Never prosecuted for any of it. Why is that? Well, one is, he may have, we know in the U.S. Virgin Islands case, he was sponsoring the campaigns, basically, of the politicians there. The prosecutors answer to the politicians. Could be that. But I would be shocked if they're in 40 years of this Where's Waldo, Forrest Gump, he's always in the room, in 40 years of American foreign policy and intelligence activity, money sourcing for that, for all the crimes that Epstein committed, the concern was the same one they had with Rolando Masfer. Don't bring the case, and if you do, bring it in a highly limited way. And that's exactly what happened in 2006, the first time he was indicted.
Two of the names mentioned are Elon Musk and U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. Elon Musk appears in the new Epstein files mostly through emails from 2012 to 2013 discussing possible meetings, travel plans, and even a potential visit to Epstein's
operation this
Caribbean
massive,
island.
this
One
controlled,
email reportedly
this
shows Musk
island.
asking,
He didn't just
"What
talk about the
day/night
blackmail.
will be the
He
wildest
talked
party
about
on your island," which does not match his earlier claim that he simply refused Epstein's invitations. The documents also suggest that Epstein was trying to position himself as a connector in Musk's social and professional circles. Musk, however, says he never went to the island, never flew on the Lolita Express, and claims the emails are being misread or selectively used to make him look bad. In short, the files show he knew Epstein. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, on the other hand, was caught on camera lying about being on Epstein's island.
Is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the doors, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift.
Yes.
Of a voice.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
So
that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
This is a complete lie because not only did Lutnick meet Epstein multiple times after this and invest millions of dollars with him, but he also brought his children to Epstein's island. One email between them reads, "Hi Jeff, we are landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over to St. Bart/Anguilla on Monday at some point. Where are you located? What is the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Marcy Lehrman, with me on my boat, and each of us has 4 children, 2 16ths, 2 14ths, a 13, a 12, an 11, and a 7-year-old.
And a top Justice Department official says the review of the Jeffrey Epstein files is over. The same official indicated there would be no new charges. Now the Trump administration is facing backlash from Epstein's survivors and Democrats. This was California Congressman Ro Khanna yesterday.
There is a demand for elite accountability, but the survivors' lawyers that I've talked to have said that the survivors are still upset. They're upset that many of their names accidentally came out without redactions, and they want to make sure the rest of the files come out.
CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us from our Washington bureau with more on this. Scott, you've been sifting through as much of this as you can. What's in this so-called final batch?
It's a process. We're still working through millions of pages here, Errol. And it's worth noting these were released more than 40 days after the legal deadline for the Department of Justice to do so. No one besides Epstein and former associate Ghislaine Maxwell has been charged, but the Department of Justice insisting its work is done.
According to Joe Rogan, there was a reason Epstein was connected to all these powerful men. Allegedly, Epstein was running a blackmail ring, where he would bring these men to his island and secretly film them in compromising situations.
You can't just have it chaos over there. I bet it was a real good honeypot where there's a lot of sophisticated intellectual discourse. You got a lot of brilliant people there. You've got great music, you know. You got like famous people are hanging around too.
Yeah.
It seems really cool. And then if there's blackmail, the blackmail is like snuck into all this.
Yeah.
Snuck in, come to the room with the cameras. The next thing you know, you're doing cocaine. I can't believe I'm doing this, but you know, you never get to an island.
Yeah.
You don't get to do this very often. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so busy with my CEO job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man.
And then next thing you know, you're donating money to whatever they tell you to.
But it's like, how many senators just voted against releasing this man? It's just it's like there's two votes that are happening. The UFO disclosure thing, they keep voting against that.
Yeah.
And the Epstein list, they keep voting against that.
Right.
What and also politically, it can't serve you to talk about a bad list. The list of people who said let's protect people who like have done horrific shit to kids. You don't want to be on that list. But whatever's on that list must be so destabilizing. 51-49.
Okay, the Senate voted 51-49 to defeat an amendment that would have forced the Department of Justice to release all files related to Jeffrey Epstein. The vote was largely along party
Both
lines,
sides.
with 2 Republicans joining all Democrats in supporting the amendment.
Oh wait, not both sides. It was the Republicans voting against this.
It says 2 Republicans joining the Democrats in supporting the amendment to defeat it. So why are the Democrats interested in defeating it?
There is a reason why Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, lied about what was in the Epstein files. Kash Patel said that the files had no videos and did not mention any blackmail. But the recent videos released by the Department of Justice show several celebrities in compromising situations.
The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These 2 photos, please put the photos back up. These 2 photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew.
Not just the video, we're reviewing everything as meticulously as we can, because that's what we owe the American people. That's our job. And I don't want to rush to the sticks or the podium and just say, hey, look what we found.
Right.
And then be like, oh, sorry, I forgot the 4 seconds. You know, if we miss 4 seconds, they'll be like, oh, well, it's in the 4 seconds you missed.
Right.
So I'm
How much can you talk about what you've seen?
Not yet. Just what I've told you.
Can you say you've seen anything?
No, that's the point, that there's nothing in there, like in the video. You guys will be bored.
You talking about the video of the suicide? But what about the video from the island?
Oh, sorry. So you're talking about 2 different things. So
sorry.
So again, we're going to give you everything we can, and people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that back out there. It's not happening, because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it. Period.
Right.
If I have it.
So
where else would it be?
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Everything we have so far is.
Have you guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Right.
And
is there video from the island?
Not of what you want.
Why did Kash Patel lie? And who else is being protected? Thousands of pages and hundreds of names in the Epstein files have been completely blacked out and hidden. These names are not the victims. They are the criminals.
Lawmaker claimed the files included one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. Whoa.
Yeah, man. See, this right here. This is scary.
This is how communism gets started.
This
is when they attack, they realize like this is like indefensible, and it gets to the point where people are like, maybe Mom Donnie's right.
Someone set Epstein up to be the person he became. Some analysts think Epstein's real value was not his money, but his connections. He put himself between powerful people, introducing billionaires to politicians, politicians to celebrities, and investors to global elites. There are even rumors that Epstein might have been an intelligence agent.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state-funded... You're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so they're juggling around.
While he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net. There's a lot of those
100%.
guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
One more question. Richard Lardner from the Associated Press. Mr. Secretary, were you ever made aware at any point in your handling of this case if Mr. Epstein was an intelligence asset of some sort?
So there has been reporting to that effect, and let me say, there's been reporting to a lot of effects in this case. Not just now, but over the years. And again, I would hesitate to take this reporting as fact. This was a case that was brought by our office. It was brought based on the facts. And I look at that reporting and others. I can't address it directly because of our guidelines. But I can tell you that a lot of reporting is just going down rabbit hole.
Epstein was a financier and financial analyst with no ties to Hollywood. But for some reason, every celebrity seemed to be partying with him. Photos, flight logs, and guest lists that later appeared showed just how big his network really was. Terrence Howard said that visiting Epstein's island was so common that he felt left out when other celebrities were invited. But he was not.
Did you hear any stories about Epstein in Hollywood, or he wasn't in Hollywood?
No, I mean, when I would hear about Chris Tucker and people hopping on the plane to go there, I didn't know that Epstein was, the bad guy that he is now. But I was like, damn, I would love to go. I didn't know what was happening.
No one talked about Epstein.
No, nobody.
Harvey they did, but not Epstein.
They didn't talk about Epstein. I didn't know, but hell, I could have easily ended up over there if he had invited me over there, because you think, okay, I'm going with the Hollywood move. That's how you get there. Like I wasn't invited to the puffy parties. I wasn't invited to any of those things. So there's a part of me that's so grateful that I wasn't invited. But back then I felt excluded. Back then I felt like oh, I must be doing something wrong. You know, I wish I had participated in some of the druggery, you know, and then wouldn't have alienated people that were good friends with that could have been good friends, you know, because I still ended up participating in the druggery when I got older. But at the time, I just didn't want to do it because, you know, I had these other things that were pressing upon me. Now, I didn't get stuck into druggery, you know, but yeah, it would have been nice to take some walks. You know, when I look back, you know, in my 30s.
Could have ended nasty.
It could have ended nasty.
So the fact that you didn't is probably a better thing.
So the universe places you can't really regret anything, you know, but there's still parts of me that's like, wow, I dodged a bullet with Epstein. I dodged a bullet because I wasn't invited to those places.
This is the same island where online rumors say Jeffrey Epstein may have hidden evidence of his crimes or even buried victims. Over the years, investigators, journalists, and former employees have reported strange activity on the island, which only made people more suspicious about what could have happened there. Hundreds of people met Epstein, either socially or professionally, and many of them have denied any involvement in his crimes. Still, the unanswered questions are what keep the story going. Who first helped Epstein build those connections? And if Epstein was just one part of a much larger network, who else might have been working behind the scenes? If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive.